Hello and welcome to the Crafty Historian episode 9. I've suddenly realised my room's a bit echoey today and I'm not sure why that is. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, today is the 10th of March. Yes, it is. And my name is Rachel. I am a second year history student at the University of York. And you can find me on Instagram as Ravenclaw Rachel and on Ravelry as Rachel Ravenclaw. It's very easy to get those two mixed up. So yes, hello. March, that's weird. I've actually only got a week left before I go home for my Easter holidays, so I don't know where the term's gone. But I'm looking forward to going home. I need a good rest and I kind of want to get hold of my sewing machine again. I miss my sewing machine whenever I'm away, so hopefully, fingers crossed, I can actually get some sewing done when I'm at home. No essays over the Easter as well, so it's going to be fab. But you are here to primarily hear about knitting and crafting content, so we're gonna jump straight in with a finished object. You may remember last time I podcast I was talking about knitting a hat for my friend Beth. It is done. So the way I did this, I cast on about 108 stitches, 110, 112, I can't remember, on 3.75mm needles, and I knit 25 centimeters worth of 2x2 rib. It was tedious, but it was also mindless, so I could take it to meetings and things and not actually think about it. So I would potentially knit another one again because I don't have to think about it, and I'm going to have a lot of meetings in the near future. But more of that later, although I'll probably be taking minutes now. Anyway, so as you can see, it fits nicely. I added a little, well not little, a nice white pom-pom on the top. I faffed around with the decreases a bit, so we went from a 2x2 rib to a 1x1 rib. I couldn't figure out how to keep the rib going, but no one's going to be looking at that. I'm really happy with how it turned out. This is just stash acrylic. I think it's the same yarn I used to make my friend Emma's Weasley jumper, which if you've been watching me since the beginning, that was one of the first projects I showed. And this was just some white that I had laying around, possibly from my Weasley hat, which is also one of the projects I've shown. So yes. I really like this and I'm going to give it to her tomorrow, and she's really excited about it. So yay, nice hat. The lighting is surprisingly good today even though it's a grey day. Don't know why, who knows. So yes, one finished object. And I have another thing, a whip that could have been a finished object if I put my mind to it, but I kind of got bored. Well, not bored. I tried to get it done for Monday and then I didn't get it done for Monday, so my new deadline is next Friday, so I've got plenty of time. And these are my friend Grace's socks. Now, I'm calling these my Florian Fortescue socks because they look like ice cream to me, and when I think of ice cream I think of Harry Potter's The Ice Cream Parlour, and mint chocolate chip ice cream. I gave up chocolate for Lent, so I'm in a bit of a stage. I'm being very good so far. I haven't had any chocolate, but that's beside the point. Well, it's going to be an interesting one today, I can tell. What was I talking about? Socks, yes. So I do have a half object. You see I've got a progress marker here. This is not where I was last time I podcast. This was where I was on Saturday morning. And then on this sock, this is where I was when I went to bed Saturday evening. I did a lot of knitting on Saturday. So yes. The yarn I am using is Cole Zig Zag in the Magic colourway. It is very toothy, I will say. I think it just needs a wash to soften it up a bit. But that's possibly why I haven't been focusing on it as much this week, because I actually normally cast something else on another pair of socks, but in a nicer yarn. So, what's going on here? Yes. So, I'm about a centimetre and a half away from starting my toe, which is not much at all. Where did I actually start my toe decrease? There. Okay. I make a big effort to make my socks, well, not a big effort, it's pretty much just, this started on a green, so I made sure this one started on a green. And because it's commercial, it pretty much matches up identically, which makes making them exactly the same really easy, because I just knit to the same points, stick the heels in, stick the toes in at the same points, and they're a nice pair of matchy socks, which when I'm giving gifts to people, they don't quite understand the idea of companion socks. So nice matchy pair, much more, I want to say marketable, but that's not the word. Sorry. Brain meltdown. I've got my hair. For everyone. Other podcasts talk about cat hair, dog hair. No, I molt. So everything's got my hair in it instead. So yes. My socks are knit 56 stitches on 2.75mm needles with a 1x1 twisted rib at the top. These socks have a wrap and turn heel, and then so there's the wrap and turn heel there. I've got a wedge toe. I think I mentioned before my friend Grace has exactly the same foot size as me, so I basically just measured off I used my same recipe for my socks for hers. So yes, I'm not sure what they are. I've had them ever since I started. These needles are the wooden multicoloured ones with the purple cable. It's quite a short needle, but I find it works for me. And these are my favourite needles. So as I mentioned, I cast on something naughty, but I do prefer these ones. So yes, very nearly finished. They will be finished and probably given before I next podcast, so this is probably the last time you're going to see them, except if I take pictures and put them on my Ravelry page. And if you're interested in the progress keepers I've got here, this one is a little phoenix that I got from Norah George Yarns with some of her Harry Potter mini skeins. And this one is a little letter from a gift from Betsy of the Cramped Hand, I think it was. but this is really adorable. I love it. So yes, nearly done. Sort of counts, doesn't it? As I've been alluding to, I cast on another pair of socks. Go on, take a guess which one I cast on. If you've been watching for a while, you'll probably have heard me talk about this before. This is my Norah George history yarn. As I mentioned at the top, I'm a history student. When I saw this listing, I could not resist. These are beautiful. It's blowing out horribly. Beautiful maroons, reds, greens, yellows. Reminds me of all the book dust jackets that are in our library, because they're all like in the old style, cloth bound on the shelf, like maroon and terracotta. And it's just, oh. That was a weird noise. So yes, history, couldn't resist. And I am attempting my first patterned sock. I'm using the Hermione's Everyday sock pattern. I'm getting all tangled. What's going on? I don't know. So this is my Hermione's Everyday sock pattern. You can't really tell the pattern with the variegated, but I think it gives a nice texture. I'll probably only do the leg in the texture, so the foot can be nice and smooth when it's inside a sock. This is a sock. When it's inside a shoe. But I'm loving how this is turning out. With it's sort of striping in a zigzag. Isn't it amazing? So yes, Hermione's Everyday sock, history yarn, Norah George is the dyer, but the combination of history and Hermione Granger, obviously in my brain, gave me the title Hogwarts: A History, which is a book I really want JK to write. So if anyone's got any contacts, I want that written to read, because it would be amazing. So yes, these are just some very cheap 2.75mm needles that I got in my LYS, but it wasn't really well stocked on their needles. It's got a longer cable, which I'm actually struggling with more. So it's the same as my regular construction. I adapted the pattern repeats for 56 stitches. 56 stitches. Oh, la, 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 la. You can't tell. End of term. I'm really tired. More on that at some point. But yes, this is my new cast on. And I really like it. It's so nice to knit with in comparison to the zigzag. It's just so smooth. So smooth. Anyway, new sock, cast on. But I kind of had a cast on party. I don't know why, but I finally cast on. Yeah, this is all I've got. Like, very limited amount of ribbing for my cardigan. I got the yarn for this for Christmas, so it's just a Sirdar Harrap tweed, and it's surprisingly soft to work with. And I've got to do 10 centimeters of 2x2 rib, which is the same as this, so I'll be fine. Yes, it'd actually go really well with what I'm wearing today, this nice blue check shirt. looking forward to doing that. Whoop. I really apologise, but yep, this is me. You're gonna have to put up with it. That started. I'm using for my cardigan the basic black pattern. I cannot remember who it's by, but I should link it. So mine's going to be just my basic blue, because this is the first cardigan I've knit. I'd like something nice and simple just to start off with, and then once I've got my basis I can feel confident enough to do something really pretty. Is that everything I need to? Oh, it's on just 4mm pony needles, straight metal. I prefer metal needles, and these are sharp enough for me. So yay! I have knitted a couple of cozy memory blanket squares, but nothing to sort of get excited about, and I'll show them at another point, I reckon, because otherwise you'll get bored of seeing it. But that is all my knitting content that I've done in the past 2 weeks. It's okay. I'm really proud of how much of this sock I did in one day, or pair of socks I did in one day. That's pretty stunning. But apart from that, I've just been taking it chill, or trying desperately to. So there are those. Have been doing a little bit of scrapbooking, trying to get back into it. So I started off. Yeah, so this is for my main album. I've just used an A4 piece of card here. This is a tag that will be able to pull out with the journaling, but I haven't put any on yet. This is called, that tag's going to annoy me, so I'm going to take it out. It's called Keep That Coffee Hot. Okay, so this is a photo of my swing dance group in the middle of our performance in Whip My What My Hop, which if you haven't watched the video, which I linked last time, or anyway, this was so much fun. I loved it. This one's me here, but I just look so happy. Keep That Coffee Hot was the song we were dancing to. And yes, so this is just going to be documenting the fun I had rehearsing and just the amazing people I was dancing with. So Emily here was my main dance partner, and Paulina here was my intermediate, because we swapped round a couple of times. And yes, slowly getting back into the swing of things. I had such a hiatus at the beginning of the year. I was sort of wandering around going, I don't know what I'm doing. But yes, there's that. And then I started working again on my Harry Potter studio tour album. So I've shown this before. Everything is like tacked in with washi tape, so I can pick and choose where I start and which pieces I want to do. Some of them have papers taped in as well, so I know sort of what I'm working with. So the first, well, it's actually a double page, that's cool. This is a double page on Luna's outfits and costumes, because I absolutely adore her as a character, the confidence and unique style that she has, and it gave me excuse to use all my pink. So I've got some like not paraphernalia, I don't know what it's called, but these were like for magazines that I cut out, which I'm really liking incorporating into my album. So there's this side, I can't see if I do that, here we go. This side, which has my title, and you get to see on the rack all her different outfits. This one is my favourite. This one here. I love this skirt down here. And I want to do some journaling about how much I admire her personal style and her attitude to life. And this side is looking more at her accessories. So we've got her radish earrings, her butterbeer cork necklace, and just generally, I love Luna. So that's going well. The next one I did this is the Gryffindor common room, and the title is, oh, it's blowing out terribly. It's Hello Gryffindors. So I cut out a Gryffindor crest from an old calendar of mine. Yeah, that's horrible. I've got just some doily. I'm keeping it fairly simple. Another cutout from the movie, and yes, I love when it's set up for Christmas. It looks amazing. Now, of course, we've got the models wearing their costumes here. So there's that one. What's the next one? Ah, another double page. Again, really simple, but amazing. It's the Burrow. So we go from this side with the magic clock and Mrs. Weasley's awesome knitting. Then you've got the cake, and there's a picture of the cake in action. And this side where you've got the panoramic view. Got room for some journaling here. Just letting the photos speak. I really want to do the writing at some point, but I keep forgetting. And then finally, again, simple, but this is a companion to the page I showed last time. It's a Hogwarts Express. So again, I cut out a Hogwarts crest. I used some wood letters and little word stickers, because this thing goes into different pages about the Hogwarts Express. So that's just sort of the title page for that section. So those are the ones that I've worked on since seeing you. I've also made my Mother's Day card because I'm prepared. It's very simple this year. Just got this cut apart of this lovely teacup, a little gold sticker that says Happy Mother's Day, some washi tape and some gold hearts. I always make my cards. I feel A, because I've got the supplies, it means I don't have to go and buy anything, and B, it means a little bit more to people, I find, if they know you've made it. Now, that's all the real, like, nitty-gritty stuff, like actual crafting that I enjoy doing. I have had another craft project that I've been doing, but it's been for one of my commitments, shall we say. My Swing Dance Society have been planning for about the entire term a Strictly Come Dancing inspired event for Comic Relief. It is tomorrow, and my job primarily, I've had other jobs, I had to call up loads of places to get prizes. I'm doing hair and makeup tomorrow. Well, I'm doing hair, they can do their makeup, because as you may be able to tell, I'm not very good at it myself. I can just about put my own foundation on, stick some lipstick on, and I will have to repaint my nails. Beside the by. But I was tasked at making the number paddles. You know, when they give out the scores and they go 7, that's what I've been making. We've got 4 judges. They want 1 to 10. They are going to be double-sided. I haven't painted the other side yet. So I've had 20 of these to make out of cardboard, paint, and there's a little bit of glitter in there. It's a big job. Put it this way, if they're never used again, I will get angry. They need to be used. They make really good fans though, so maybe we'll go with that. They're only cardboard, but they're actually probably dry enough for me to turn around and do the other side now. I'll do that when the camera's off. So yes, I've made 20 of these. I've got to do the other side for tomorrow. Yay! No. But, you know, putting my craft to good use, and they're paying me for the supplies, so I got gold paint practically for free. Because I'm not going to use it all, you know, so I get some gold paint to play with. Oh! Okay, so moving onwards from my works in progress onto things that are on my wish list. And at the moment, as I mentioned, I'm starting my cardigan, my simple cardigan. I'm hoping it won't take me too long. I mean, it's DK weight yarn, and it's a simple pattern. As long as I don't get bored or get distracted with socks, it is a possibility. It shouldn't take too long at all, as long as I put like the hours in. So I'm looking for a nice simple patterned jumper or cardigan, and by that I mean like a stitch pattern, not necessarily cable, not necessarily colour work. So I'm not sure entirely what I'm looking for, but I really liked when I was watching my podcasts. I loved Lily of the Ladybug Laboratories Threshold Pullover by Melanie Berg, so I may look into that. If Lily, if you're watching, would you say that's a suitable 4th, 5th sweater project? And I also liked Amy of the Stranded Dye Works podcast Mira sweater, which is by Justyna Lorkowska. Who knows? So they're just nice textured patterns. There's also an Andy Satterland cardigan I quite liked, which was a Nuka, I think, and that's knit in Aran weight, so that might be really nice to get something quick done. Who knows? So yes, that's what I'm on the lookout for at the moment. So on to my help me section, which, did I allude to earlier? Maybe not. I'm on the lookout for a nice, a new heel construction. At the moment, I do a wrap and turn heel because I found that the easiest to comprehend when I started. So perhaps I'm looking for doing a heel flap and gusset, because picking up stitches is very daunting. Ideally I don't want to have to pay for a pattern yet, but if I have to, that's fine. So if you've got any heel recommendations, for context, I have high instep, high arches, wide feet. You know, my feet are really difficult. So if you've got any recommendations to make socks fit, because I find the wrap and turn, I can make it big enough to suit the distance between, because my instep goes like this instead of like however normal feet, it goes really steep. My foot is like on an angle like this, and then my arches are really tiny. I've got to really adjust how much my heel distance has to be fairly deep in order to accommodate my feet. but to also allow it to fit around my arches. More information on my feet than you probably ever wanted to know. I'm not wearing socks now, otherwise I would be demonstrating with my foot up here. But you do not want to see my crummy feet. I can confirm that. You do not. At all. So yes, if you can help me by recommending any YouTube videos or tutorials or Ravelry patterns for a nice simple heel construction that can accommodate strange feet, I'd be more than grateful. I'm going to do a little bit of chatter here about podcasts and knitting podcasts, and then I will move on to a little bit of news and life update, which I have alluded to. I remember saying something about that, and then on to my history. So it's probably going to be a long one this week, which is okay. I've messed up already. No, it's just one stitch, it's okay. It's definitely an art, talking and knitting at the same time. So we'll see how this goes. I may just have a row that I have to tink back, but we're going okay. So, talking about podcasts, I don't want to say that I'm picky when I choose which podcasts I want to watch, but I kind of am. I have to sort of either be able to relate to them, so the topics that they're covering are relatable to me, or their interests and styles coincide with mine, or I have to find them particularly soothing. So, for example, the ones that I watch at the moment, Eva Christie Hand Knitting Podcast, she soothes me like nothing else. I don't know whether it's the Scottishness or the sort of quiet tones of her voice. Watching her is so soothing, and she's so inspirational as well. So she's one of my absolute love to watch. Amy from Stranded Dyeworks, who I've mentioned previously, she was the first podcaster I ever stumbled across, and her personality is very similar to how I portray myself normally. Not normally, but whenever I'm listening to her, I feel like I've found someone who's on the same wavelength. And she makes stunning things, and I'm very jealous. But then I've only been knitting since I was 15. So I've been knitting on and off for 6 years. I taught myself when I was 15, I should say. I haven't been knitting consistently since I was 15. So, yes. Amy. So she's possibly one of my favourites. Mind you, they're all my favourites because I am so picky. But Amy was the first. So she holds a special place. I've got Lily of the Ladybug Laboratory podcast, who again is so soothing. I could quite easily just sit and listen to her. And I love how Lily has started constructing her podcast, so she goes more in depth, which for someone like me who is still pretty new and baffled to everything, that's invaluable. It's amazing, especially when we were looking at her colourwork mittens and the different ways she did the colourwork. That was helpful for me in crystallising how colourwork should look and should work. So, thank you, Lily. Nikki of the Tea and Possibilities podcast is another of my favourites. She is my pen pal for her Best Year Ever Cow, and again, it's like watching a friend and talking to a friend that I feel like I've known her for years. I'm aware I'm also a lot younger than most of these people, but I've always been told that I'm too old for my years. If you don't know, I'm 21, so that's now documented on the internet forever now. when I'm, well, in years to come, people will find this and be able to calculate how old I am, but who knows. I don't care. What was I talking about? Nikki. Nikki is lovely. She's got the same sort of Harry Potter obsession as me, but she doesn't. I try not to let it completely take over. You may have noticed that I'm naming everything this year, sort of Harry Potter theme, but that's just so I can enter a cowl, because I'm not very good at cowls. I don't like being told what to do, so if I can twist it, much better. So yeah. So if someone says, we're going to do a cowl for this particular item, my brain just goes, no, don't want to do that. That's why I ended up not liking doing things like English language and English literature. Hated being told what to do. So, sorry if you do cowls where they tell us, you must do this thing. Not doing it. It's just not me. So yes, that's all going. So I've got on such a long. I'm very tired today. Yes, Nikki. I love everything she's knitting. Oh, she was knitting. She may have finished it now. A Stegosaurus head. That's amazing. I want a Stegosaurus head. I wouldn't know where to put it because I have no space. We're not allowed to like nail anything to the walls. But still, stunning. Absolutely stunning. She's that right sort of nerdy but practical and crafty at the same time. So yes. And the fifth one I've got down is Katie of Inside 23. And I don't just follow her because everybody else follows her. I find her garments and her knitted items to be really inspirational, and again she's got that Harry Potter connection, which I love. I do get a bit annoyed when podcasters start talking about, and there's this person and this person, and I've tried going over to some of them and I just don't like them. Getting sort of that commercialised flavour. I like feeling like I'm having a conversation with someone, or feel like they're having a conversation with me, which I think, although Katie is slowly morphing into this sort of knitting elite, she is actually maintaining, so for the moment I will stick with her. It make me sound really weird, but, and Katie, if in some like bizarre miracle you're watching this, please don't take that as please don't take that offensively. I love you, you do amazing podcasts, but there are just some people, the more extroverted people who you can tell, I can tell they're not the sort of people I'd be able to walk up to in the street, or if we were lumped in, for example, a seminar, which is where I am now in my point in life. If we were put in the same seminar, I could tell some of them wouldn't be the people I just immediately gravitate to, whereas the 5 I've listed today, they are the people I would gravitate to. I've mentioned before, my best friend is the Quidditch captain, so if you're mentioning Harry Potter, you're probably fine. My other friends are all like nice and chill. I gravitate to them as well, so that's most of everybody else as well. If you are a soothing personality in a sea of extroverted bombardment, I will gravitate to you. So I'm willing to take other soothing sort of recommendations. I've picked up a couple of new podcasts which I'm trying out. One of them is the Notorious podcast with Kelly and Carrie. They are teachers. I've worked in a teaching environment before, so I actually kind of get on with teachers really well. So again, I sort of gravitated to them. And I've also got Pins and Needles, which is a new one I've only just picked up, which is sewing and knitting, which is making me want my sewing machine so bad. And that's Zoe, and she's in Cardiff. Her voice is just so soothing. It sounds like my teachers from sixth form, just the right sort of accent. Yeah, so those are two I've picked up recently. So after that very long tangent, and we no longer know where we are, a little bit of news on my life. As I said, it's nearly the end of term, which means I'm over halfway through my degree, finally! Yay! I've just dropped everything. Not really, I just dropped my notebook. My trusty little notebook. Just a little paper chase one. But yeah, I may have done something very silly. I stood for, so I mentioned earlier Swing Dance Society, how I've been on this committee for organising Strictly, or York Sport Strictly. So no one else was standing in our elections, and I've ended up being our new swing dance secretary. So yes, I'm in charge of writing sassy emails and generally organising everyone else's life for them, which admittedly I'm kind of excited about. Everything will be colour-coded. Colour-coded, and there'll be, yeah, colour-coded post-it notes, timetables, timelines. I will be in my element. So that's something to really look forward to. But who knows what it's going to do to my health and to my... Who knows what's going to do to my health, to my timetable, to my knitting time. Because if I'm secretary, I have to take notes. I have to take the minutes. Which it's going to be interesting. Which means I can't knit through meetings, which is sad. But yeah, that's happened to me. It's going to look good on the CV at least. It's not the only reason I do it. I love dancing so much and I just want to give back. Which moves us nicely on to history, if you're still here. I know some people really like this. Some people, well, I don't know, no one's told me they don't like it. But if you're still here and you're not interested, thank you for watching. If you could give me a like or subscribe to let me know that somebody is watching, that would be amazing. Because sometimes it can feel a bit as though I'm talking to myself, which is probably what my flatmates think I'm doing. But I don't care. I thought I had my window open then, but I didn't. Okay. Random. Ah! So yes, if I can't promise that things are going to be more put together at any point, because this is just who I am. Especially when I'm tired. Especially when I'm tired. But yes, thank you for watching if you've got to hop off. And stick around for a quick lowdown on the history of swing dance, which I don't think I've done yet. So swing dance, if you don't know, it sort of broadly covers things like the Charleston, Lindy Hop, Balboa blues, shag, solo jazz, things like that. It has its roots in African American dancing, and it rose really in the 1920s and 1930s Harlem. Personally, I'm going to focus on Lindy Hop because I can't do anything at any of the others. Charleston in particular, and anything faster, it's like shag and bowl. Mind you, bowl is a bit slower sometimes, Balboa is flexible, I've been told, so maybe I need to look into that. I haven't done blues yet. Sounds pretty scary. One of the Durham people described it as the closest thing to having sex with your clothes on. So that's a bit intimidating. Well, you don't need to know that. But yes, I don't have my laptop anymore. It's died a death, so you're getting it. So yes, Lindy Hop rose from Harlem in the 1920s, 1930s, and it was actually one of the first cultural movements to be interracial, which I think is amazing. We should definitely promote that. You've got, it's a partner dance usually. You don't have to come with a partner. Usually lessons you swap around a lot, and it's usually side by side, that way around. Leaders on this side. I'm usually a follow. I'm trying to learn to lead, not good at it. So yes, Lindy Hop originally faded with the rise of rock and roll in the 50s. Basically jive became more popular, similar steps but completely different. But there was a 1980s revival where a new generation, there were sort of 3 different coinciding movements in the UK, the USA and in Sweden. Maybe there was one in Australia as well, but those were the 3 I can remember. And they basically uncovered the footage of these dancers from the 20s, 30s, and they decided to seek them out and ask them, please teach us, we want to know. So they sought out these amazing teachers. One that's particularly famed is a lovely man called Frankie Manning, who, if you just YouTube, it's amazing. They're so, you sort of, swing dancers on a general rule are so nice. They're just lovely. And it kind of blossomed and grew from there. So now swing dancing is pretty much an international phenomenon. I think you can, if you looked it up, you could probably find something pretty close to you. I can't where I live at home, but that's because I live in the middle of nowhere. So up here in the north, we've got York University has one, Leeds University has one, Durham University has one, Newcastle University has one, Edinburgh University has one, and I think each of the different cities have an individual city one as well. I'm not sure if that's just York and Newcastle, but it might be all of them as well. But yeah, and we go on exchanges and swing dance weekends where you get teachers in and you do workshops and tasters and social dancing. You do, there are these things called strolls, which are like routines which everyone knows. And when the song comes on, you just rush on and dance it. And yeah, this is swing dance. I would recommend it to anybody. It's really good for blowing off some steam and pretty much just, put it this way, I'd never really danced before I got to university. I was at the age of 6 told by my ballet teacher that I was too fat to ever be a dancer and that I glumped across the stage. Because that's charming. So if I can do it and I'm not adept, for example, I tried to learn to play the cello but I couldn't coordinate this hand doing this and this hand doing this, but somehow I can make my feet do something and my hand do something else. So I refuse to accept people saying, oh, but I can't dance. You can, you just need to try it. So I think that's how I'm going to end it. If you have the opportunity, go to a Lindy Hop lesson. It's slower and I have various health issues, which means I can only dance the slower stuff. And I can cope with it. And if I can cope with it, you can probably cope with it. So look it up, go and give it a go, and if you like it, please tell me, because I love all my swing dancers. So yes, it's been a long one and I hope you enjoyed it. As I said, like, subscribe, follow me, make friends, drop me a line. I love chatting. So thank you for watching and I shall see you again soon.